In this passage, the passage is about Fukuyama's view on relativism. The passage also talks about the differences between relativism and skepticism. At the end, the author says, skepticism has some benefits, compares them, and seems to end it on a positive note, saying skepticism at least allows people or gives people are a little less frustrated with skepticism. So let's quickly look at the passage before we answer questions. In a blog, now remember, the rule for any RC passage is the same, that you read every line of the passage quickly, but only rephrase or simplify those lines which are important, which is exactly what I'm going to do with you. In a blog on epistemic relativism, Francis Fukuyama writes, "We who live in the modern liberal societies have necessarily accepted a certain degree of moral relativism." So first point, that in modern societies, we accept a level of moral relativism. Now you don't have to understand what this means. Move on. Fukuyama doesn't comment on whether this is a good or bad thing, so we are also not going to comment. But chastises, means scolds, postmodernist writers who espouse relativism, promote relativism regarding assertions of fact concerning the outside world. Fukuyama identifies the rise of epistemic relativism, epistemic related to knowledge, with writers who followed Nietzsche, but these themes are present in some book. Bracketing from the question of chronology, is Fukuyama right that relativism is a problem? So first paragraph, what is it you need to process? Fukuyama has some issues with relativism. Is Fukuyama right that relativism is a problem? That's it. You don't need to read anything more about that. Next paragraph, a quick reply is that skeptics eschew the term relativism. Eschew, avoid. Skeptics do not maintain that truth changes depending on time or place. That means relativism does. In 1933, the German philosopher Martin Heidegger believed in the inner truth and greatness of the nationalist socialist cause. Heidegger is a relativist but not a skeptic. Again, we don't have to bother. We only need to know that skeptics don't maintain that truth changes depending on time and place. They avoid any comment on skepticism, but any comments on relativism, but they don't believe that truth changes with space and time. That means relativists do. That's why they're called relativists. To the larger point that epistemic relativism is a problem, skeptics maintain that they do have criteria to make decisions about facts in the world or how to treat other people. These are, according to Sextus, the guidance of nature, the compulsion of feelings, the traditions of laws and customs, and the instructions of the art. For Sextus, now he is quoting two people. For Sextus, nature and culture are the soil from which our ethical dispositions grow. So skeptics or relativists also have some context. Okay, they grow in a context, and that is where their ethical leanings or dispositions grow. Skeptics may be kind to children, help their neighbor, build institutions that reflect the value of their culture. So they are not unaffected by culture. They can be kind. They do all the things. They have a kind of moral tie with the culture in which they exist. In one of Sextus's surviving manuscripts titled Against the Ethicists, he addresses the question of what a skeptic will do if a tyrant commands a forbidden act. So now skeptics, he says, how will a skeptic deal with the question of a tyrant commanding a forbidden act? The skeptic will choose one thing perhaps and avoid the other by the preconception which accords with his ancestral laws and customs, will bear the harsh situation more easily compared with the dogmatic. The critics of skepticism, such as Nussbaum, this seems like evidence that skeptics are passive in the face of injustice. So now they put an example. They say if a skeptic is asked, how will you deal? Suppose a tyrant asks you to do something wrong. How will you deal with it? So the answer that was given was very vague. And based on that, the critics of skeptics have said that they will tolerate injustice. They will keep quiet in the face of injustice. They don't even know whether they will fight tyrants. Now, what is the answer to that? Rising to Sextus's defense, the political scientist John Christian Lawson argues that skeptics can grow up in cultures that believe in watering the tree of liberty. So, people who support skepticism say, no, listen, skeptics can support liberty. They are not like they're supporters of tyrants. They support liberty. They can possess energy, commitment, concern about the political order. One can be committed without a chain of truth to support one's act. So they can be committed to a cause, a good cause, to liberty without really, having the evidence that, look, we are supporting it. Of course, dogmatics can also support tyrants who murder people who disagree with them. Fukuyama wants people to agree on facts about the outside world. Now here comes, at the beginning, the first paragraph he talks, Fukuyama has a problem with relativists about facts concerning the outside world. We don't know what that is. We come back to the line, Fukuyama wants people to agree on facts about the outside world. But intelligent people can look at those supposed facts in a variety of ways. Grass is green except at night when it appears black. Skeptics can make arguments like that for a long time. Skeptics encourage us to live our lives in less frustrating ways than demanding some things that humans do not and may not ever possess. That is the truth. So skeptics don't believe that you can obtain the truth. So they say, look, you can still live life without ever obtaining or possessing truth. For example, grass is green. Is that a fact or truth? Well, in the daytime it looks green, but at night it looks black. So this is the way they argue to support their positions. That is the passage. All right. Now let's look at the questions. And when we look at a part of the question that needs us to go back to the passage, we will do that. The author of the passage is likely to support which one of the following statements? Fukuyama is opposed to the moral relativism found in liberal modern societies. We know that Fukuyama is against some sort of relativism. Let's find out if he's opposed to moral relativism found in liberal modern societies. Seems the correct answer, but remember, there would always be a word here, word there, which is misplaced, which makes the answer wrong. So we know from our imperfect memory of the passage and from our summary that Fukuyama is opposed to relativism. He has a problem with it. He has pointed out some problems. But is he against moral relativism in modern liberal societies? That's what we are supposed to find out. Skeptics can make arguments about truth for which there is no definite answer. Also seems possible, right? The grass, the example of the grass, what was the function? Why did the author give the example of the grass? Grass is green, yes, in daytime it looks green, but at night it becomes black. So this is the way they would argue. So they would make arguments about the truth for which there is no definitive answer, no exact answer that this is the last word on it. So this also seems likely. Skeptics can tackle harsh situations better than dogmatists do. Is this the question is asking the author is likely to support what? Now this sentence, did the author make or did he quote somebody about this? This is there in the passage. But did the author say this or did someone else say this? That's the doubt. Skeptics can be acquiescent in the face of inequity and unfairness. No, this is when he said critics of skeptics say this, but somebody else supported skeptics and said that's not true. Skeptics also can act against tyrant and act against injustice. So D we can immediately eliminate. Now we have A, B and C. Is Fukuyama opposed to moral relativism? Let's go back to the passage and find out. The very first paragraph, in a blog on epistemic relativism, Francis Fukuyama writes, those who live in modern necessary society have necessarily accepted a certain degree of moral relativism. All of us have accepted a certain degree of modern relativism. He does not comment on whether this is good or bad. So he is not against the modern moral relativism of modern liberal societies. What is he against? He chastises, he criticizes postmodernist writers who espouse relativism regarding assertions of fact concerning the outside world. He is not against moral relativism. He does not say anything about it. But he criticizes those writers who support relativism, who propagate relativism regarding assertions of facts concerning the outside world. So the first answer is not correct. It's too broad, because in the passage he says he doesn't say anything about our acceptance of modern relativism in modern liberal societies. What is he against? Against those writers who support facts concerning the outside world. So this answer is not the correct one. Author is not going to agree with it. Skeptics can make arguments about the truth for which there is no definitive answer. This is definitely true. Now let me just take you to C. Skeptics can tackle harsh situations better than dogmatists do. Somewhere he says that, so let's find out where. And does the author say it? In the context of dogmatists, he says that. He says the general guidance of nature, but this is quoting Sextus, not the author. All this dogmatist example is not the author's view. The dogmatist example is the view of Sextus. Therefore, the correct answer is B.